So the legal back and forth is complete and total nonsense because we shouldn't even be at this point in the first place, and here's why. Now, this is a classic example of activist judges ruling based on their own personal opinions and not on what the law actually says, judicial activism. Because if you look at the U.S. code that pertains to President Trump's executive action, let me put it up on the screen. It reads, quote, whenever the president finds that the entry of any aliens or any class of aliens into the U.S. would be detrimental to the interest of the United States, he may by proclamation and for such period as he shall deem necessary suspend the entry of all aliens or any class of aliens as immigrants or non-immigrants, or impose on the entry of aliens any restrictions that he may deem to be appropriate. Now, Daniel Horowitz, our friend over at Conservative Review, he wrote an article entitled Rogue Judges Undermining Our Sovereignty, and here's how Congress can stop them. Now, in it, Horowitz argues that the judiciary branch of our government, especially on the lower levels, has been utterly polluted by progressive judges who decide rulings that are based on personal or political opinions, not on the law, not on standing, not on the Constitution. So in other words, a lawsuit can be brought before a liberal judge, they can go judge shopping, or in a liberal-leaning court, and it can have a national impact like what we are now seeing playing out. Now, according to Horowitz, Congress should work to take back their power from these activist courts in order to protect you, the American people, our sovereignty, and the rule of law. Now, for example, the U.S. Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, where this legal battle is now playing out, is known by all to be the most liberal federal appeals court in the country. And if you look at the Seattle-based federal judge, James Robart, who put a temporary halt to the president's extreme vetting executive order on Friday, well, he has a history of questionable rulings. And according to the Seattle Times, during a hearing last year on police reform, well, Judge Robart, he declared, quote, Black Lives Matter. Now, of course, all lives matter. And then there is the out-of-control liberal hypocrisy that is on full display here. For example, Senator Chuck Schumer, he's crying foul over the president's executive order, but what the senator is not telling you, that back in 2015, he actually said a pause on admitting refugees into the country could be necessary. Then there's the two most recent Democratic presidents. They argued in favor of tougher immigration laws. Let's take a look at Bill Clinton. This is back in 1995 during his State of the Union address. Take a look.
All Americans, not only in the states most heavily affected, but in every place in this country, are rightly disturbed by the large numbers of illegal aliens entering our country. The jobs they hold might otherwise be held by citizens or legal immigrants. The public service they use impose burdens on our taxpayers. That's why our administration has moved aggressively to secure our borders more, by hiring a record number of new border guards, by deporting twice as many criminal aliens as ever before, by cracking down on illegal hiring, by barring welfare benefits to illegal aliens. We are a nation of immigrants, but we are also a nation of laws. It is wrong and ultimately self-defeating for a nation of immigrants to permit the kind of abuse of our immigration laws we have seen in recent years, and we must do more to stop it.
Nation of immigrants, nation of laws, it's self-defeating. Doesn't that sound a lot like President Trump now? It does, right? Now, of course, back when President Clinton said it, there was collective outrage from the left. Never happened. And if that's not enough for liberals, there's also President Obama. This is him back in 2014 saying this. Let's look at more hypocrisy.
Today, our immigration system is broken, and everybody knows it. Even as we are a nation of immigrants, we're also a nation of laws. Undocumented workers broke our immigration laws, and I believe that they must be held accountable. If you're a criminal, you'll be deported. If you plan to enter the U.S. illegally, your chances of getting caught and sent back just went up. The actions I'm taking are not only lawful, they're the kinds of actions taken by every single Republican president and every single Democratic president for the past half-century. And to those members of Congress who question my authority to make our immigration system work better, or question the wisdom of me acting where Congress has failed, I have one answer. Pass a bill.
Wow, there you have it. Now, the only reason liberals are resisting President Trump's action on extreme vetting is they're trying to score cheap political points. Now, it doesn't matter that President Obama and Congress came up. They're the ones that came up with the list of the 7 countries that President Trump referred to in his executive order. And liberals, they don't seem to mind one bit that, according to the New York Post, visa holders from these 7 countries that have ties to terror and extremism are now rushing into the country while they can, thanks to the courts. Now, President Trump's policy is very straightforward. Instead of twisting and misrepresenting Donald Trump's intentions, well, the left should listen very closely to what the president said earlier today. Listen closely, especially if you're a liberal.
We need strong programs so that people that love us and want to love our country and will end up loving our country are allowed in, not people that want to destroy us and destroy our country.
My message to the left tonight is very clear. You want to keep playing games, you go right ahead. But know this, if one American loses their life, is killed as a result of letting in dangerous, unvetted people into this country, you are to blame, and you will have blood on your hands, and you can explain that to the American people why you put politics ahead of their safety.